I'd like to remind everybody that, first of all, you can send us your good news. Go to goodnews@goodnewsbroadcast.com. That's one good thing. And within the last couple of weeks, we haven't actually broadcasted it yet, but our good friend Reed Stowe, who usually calls us quite often, not today, however, we're all still actually reeling from the 500th anniversary party that we had on Pier on 26th Street. It used to be called Pier 63. Maybe it's called Pier 69 now. That's right, that's it. John Crevy, who actually allowed Reed to dock his boat there for, I don't know, 5, 4, 6 years, I don't know, long time, as Reed was preparing with the Anne, his 75-foot sailboat, to go around the planet Earth, which is why we have one of our Hug of Planets. I'd like to thank Robert Forenza for giving us all these Hug of Planets. But Reed right now has gone 520 days out at sea. I think you might all also remember that we had Sonia here, Amon, who went out with Reed day one. And Sonia came back at 305 days. She was feeling nauseous, and we all learned that Sonia was pregnant. And Sonia has now had her wonderful son, and everything is good. And Reed is doing good. He's out here, if I can always say this right here, the Galapagos Islands, okay? And he's, I don't know, he's telling us he might even go for more than 1,000 days. So a lot of good things. So let's get to the show, and thank you for tuning in each week here. And let's go to Alan Brody. Hello, Alan. How are you?
Hello, Paul.
So Alan's a good friend. Alan knows a tremendous amount about technology, and you know what, Alan? Though no, you run the iBreakfast. Let's talk about iBreakfast, because if somebody wants to really learn about where technology is going, you seem to be like I don't know whether, I think this is a compliment, soothsayer. I mean, you know the future. You get a good sense. You seem to be on top of the marketplace. The same day Google came out and with their Android phone, we have a conference of a lot of people talking about the Android phone.
Right.
The same day, it seems like you. I think I should just follow you around, because you're Mr. Technology, and you got a wonderful family. And
thank you.
So tell us about the iBreakfast first.
Well, I started as a journalist, as a technology journalist, and back in the early '90s, I noticed that there was a trend where the technology went from being just about technology, and it was becoming a medium. Ad agencies were getting involved, content people were getting involved. I met Herbie Hancock at a Macworld back in the '90s, and we became quite friendly. And he saw things, and no one could really articulate, but what they were seeing. But there was a sense that somehow technology and culture and content and music were coming together. And so I remember going, at that point I worked at Adweek, and I remember telling the management there, there's this whole new media coming. Of course, they all thought I was crazy. The new media came, and within 3 years, most of the people that I told this to at Adweek were now working as heads or major executives at the top technology or new media companies within about 3 years. In fact, one lady whose name will go unmentioned, at that point would not even have voicemail. And she wound up running one of the big three marketing departments of one of the big three technology online companies.
Okay, so what do you think it is about change? How do you know? Yeah, okay.
I'll tell you how I know.
Hey, Alan, he asked the question too. That's a beautiful guy.
I grew up in Africa, and in Africa, I saw things in a very elemental form that initially I thought were just, a foreign place, another place. And when I came here, I became a student of one of the major researchers for the ad industry, a man by the name of Ernest Dichter. And he's the father of what's known as motivational research, and he worked for every major brand, ad agency, and so on and so forth. And what I learned from him is that we're part of a continuum of ideas that take us all the way back to our, I don't want to say primitive, but our aboriginal past. And so the lessons that I learned from how people grow and how they evolve and how they understand the future play out in technology, and they play out in media, and they play out in life, and they play out over and over, as long as you understand how it works in each particular instance. So I learned from him how to read these things. And I have a couple of books which I'm going to tell you about, and it's reflected in these books. One of my books is a graphic novel. It's about a story, actually, based on a true story, about a guy who, it's about a white guy became a Zulu chief, and he had all these children, and through a variety of changes, they were spread around the world, and so a kid 150 years later discovers that he's really an heir to this Zulu kingdom, and he has to go back. It's kind of a fun book. But in that, I actually get into how they do clairvoyance, how the Zulus read the future, and how that's kind of fun. And I will tell you that it's related to what my friend, the researcher, who in his own way was a witch doctor, worked for Madison Avenue. And I will show you in my book how it actually worked, how they shaped the tobacco industry, using the same basic principles. Some were designed that way, and some of they stumbled upon.
Technology to cartoon to a real book.
It happened in our lifetime.
And to clairvoyance to if anybody could put all this stuff together, it's Alan.
You know, who would have thought that Bill Gates would start out as the world's biggest geek, building an operating system before people even understood what an operating system is. And today, where is he giving his money? To Africa. And not only that, but he built, you know, the biggest browser on the internet. They create content. They want to be in the TV business. They went from being geeks that couldn't get a date to the guys that are financing movies, who are creating, or at least creating the environment for content to happen. No, the world changed. It changed in our lifetimes.
Okay, let's go, because it's such an important subject and a passion for you, is your book on cigarettes, because. Maybe we can help some people here.
Okay.
Maybe you can be helping some people, and maybe we can get this
So
word out more.
the theory of the book is, which is kind of interesting, because what is a book about cigarettes have to do with my background in Africa? And the answer is, I learned about initiation, the way it's really done. When kids have to go out and do something dangerous, and they have to get the secrets of the tribe, and they go through a scarification ritual afterwards. I mean, this is real. And they would be doing it about the same time that our kids were learning how to smoke. That was the connection. So I wondered, what was the connection? What do they have that's similar? And what I found was, I wasn't the only one who realized this. The tobacco companies realized this too. So the best story I can think of, and the one that really puts this in context, is the way they developed the Marlboro brand. Because this didn't happen by mistake. This was cultivated. And on page 79 of this book, you'll see a picture of the chairman of Philip Morris, before he became chairman, sitting down with a psychoanalytic researcher who looked into the shapes and colors of how you develop what should go on the Marlboro pack. And what they did was they ran images, flashed images in front of a specially picked audience to see what messages, what images they were picking up that they had to have on this pack. And the one that they had to have was this crest, the crest that you see today on Marlboro everywhere. And if you look at the bottom of the crest, it says, "I came, I saw, I conquered." It actually says in Latin, "Veni, vidi, vici." In other words, this crest represents a medal. It makes the brand look like a medal. So mostly white boys, but most white kids, about 70% of that number's been consistent for the last 30 years, will start smoking with Marlboro at about the ages between 12 and 18. Peak age is about 15. Because at 15, they really feel like they want to be soldiers. So it's not a big deal until 10 or 15, 20 years later when they want to quit. And they don't know why they have this amazing bond with their cigarette brands. And if it's Camel, there's a different story. And if it's Virginia Slims, there's another story. And so understanding what these brands are is the key to understanding how to quit if you really can't quit. And that's why the subtitle of the book is, What You Smoke is How You Quit.
Okay, so just, first of all, where can someone get the book? Are you selling
you can buy it on Amazon.
Okay.
You can buy it from sigseduction.com.
Okay.
From us, but Amazon has it.
What was that, a second one?
Sig Seduction, cigarette seduction. But a lot of people can't spell cigarette, believe it or not. So it's Sig. Everyone can spell Sig. So it's Sig Seduction.
Okay. So what are some of the things then somebody might want to do if they hear this message of what you're saying? Because I doubt that most people would actually think that why did I get started is possibly the reason of why I can't stop.
Well, it's been shown scientifically that if a certain part of a heavy smoker's brain is disabled, they'll quit immediately. It's a part of the brain called the insula, which deals with mind-body relationships. So that actually has been shown scientifically that the part that really matters in smoking, the smoking habit, is in the mind, not in the body. I mean, the whole deal with receptors, it's an issue, but that's not what makes you smoke. It's something that gives you tremendous meaning. It's at the level almost of religion. So what I say is that, yeah, it's a belief system. If you don't believe in cigarettes at a profound level, and that was created when you were 17, not when you were 30 or 40. So you have to understand what you believed and what you needed to believe when you were 17, and that helps you get out of it. I'm not saying that you're going to change your world, or you're going to be a better person, or you're going to solve your problems. Your problems are your problems. You've got to deal with them, but they don't require you to smoke. So you can deal with your problems in another way, but you've got to understand what it is that you were pulling out of it. So if you needed to be a manlier person at 17, it's quite possible at 14 you become that manlier person, and you don't need to be smoking to reinforce that, or to compensate it, or to ameliorate it. But you need to understand that. So it's a way for you, without becoming psychoanalyzing yourself, it's a way for you to go back and say, aha, I got it. I think I can take that issue somewhere else, and I don't need to smoke.
Where does the actual, what some people say is that the tobacco is addictive, and
it's addictive.
And all the things that they put into it, 500 plus or whatever things are in there that, you know, your body craves for.
You know what, a lot of things are addictive, but you can also get over them. I like to put it this way, and I know this is controversial, it's in bold terms, but you know what, the power of cigarettes, it's rather like, I mean, in my book, cigarettes are a way of maximizing your connection with your life, with the forces that you believe in, what you need in life. So it's almost like a religion. Now, if you believe in a particular religion, then praying is really important to you. Well, if you don't believe in that religion, you're not praying. So to me, smoking and the addiction of smoking is part of the reinforcement of your belief. Once you lose the belief, you lose the addiction. It doesn't happen necessarily by itself, but it will go away, and you can deal with it. If you believe and you're addicted, you're not getting out of it. If you don't believe, if there is no magic in smoking, you can get over the addiction a lot easier. And by the way, there's a lot of substitutes. I mean, you don't, in order to fulfill the addiction need of nicotine, you don't have to smoke. There are much better nicotine delivery systems, whether it's the patch or whether it's a snus or a packaged snuff. Plenty of ways to get your nicotine filled. You know, it says you have to smoke to get nicotine. In fact, smoking is a really bad way to get nicotine because there's so much junk in there that once you have real nicotine, you won't want to smoke cigarettes anymore.
Okay.
No, you know.
This is like for me with you, this is something, passion that you definitely have. I mean, I know you so much from the technology world, and I think actually, you know, this show is not here to say one way is a way to live your life or another way is to live your life. So even with cigarette smoking, if somebody wants to smoke a cigarette, that's their, to a certain degree.
To a certain degree, but
their own sort of decision.
You can handle those issues in a more intelligent way. You don't have to. I mean, I'm not encouraging young people to smoke, but what I am saying, I mean, I was a smoker myself, and I'm saying is when you get to a certain age in life and you realize that you are about to pay the price for what you've been doing for 12 or 15 years, there has to be a better way. It's not really a discussion, you know. I mean, I could do stuff that if I were a smoker today, it would be impossible to do.
And I do say, though, for whatever, I have to say that because everybody, as long as they're not giving secondhand smoke to somebody else, but right in their face, but that they do say that there are some immediate benefits by stop smoking that science has for your own body. That if you do stop, that very quickly a lot of
but I want to
aspects
make
of your
this
life.
part clear. We can have an argument. I can show you charts. I mean, if you go to Canada, you pick up a pack of cigarettes in Canada, they put a photograph of a bad lung. But that's not going to make you smoke if you believe that the power, the magic of smoking is more powerful than the damage that it does to you, then the pictures of bad lungs are meaningless. That's the power of belief. It's the same power that gets people to do fantastic things. It's the great same power that gets people to see the other world. It's the same power that gets people to make tons of money. It's the same power that gets you to overcome fantastic. It's belief. And smoking is about belief. If you take away the belief, the addiction's a joke.
You know, no one I've ever heard speaks about it in this manner. I've never heard it on television this way. You know, it's all patch, it's this, it's that.
You know, I met the people that work for the tobacco companies, and they're gone now, unfortunately. But I can tell you that the kinds of research that they did and the way they did it, and the way they laughed at how stupid people were for not understanding it, is its own story, and it's in the book. It's documented. I mean, these guys. There was a time when guys wrote books. I mean, the picture on page 79 is the dust jacket of a book. The guy who worked for Philip Morris and the chairman of Philip Morris were happy to be in the dust jacket of a book, talking about the research they did to addict millions and millions and millions of people to smoke Marlboro. They would never publish that book today. Not a chance. But back then, they thought they were doing people some kind of favor.
Okay, Alan.
All right.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing, and maybe somebody will stop smoking as a result of what they read in your book or what you have just said. And I know that would make you a happy camper as well as myself.
Very happy.
I know that. All right. And would like to, if you wouldn't mind, just because I think at one point we put up a video of you, and you have these South African parties, right? What are they called?
Well, they're called braais.
Okay. And what does a braai mean?
A braai is a barbecue.
Okay, and you have them. I know you have. Didn't you have one up in Kingsland
one,
Point in Terry, my
old hunting grounds,
my town? Yeah.
And so the purpose of our barbecues is to not just to make South Africans have a lot of fun together, but we want Americans to understand a little bit of the fun that we had in South Africa, and we want to make the African experience accessible to Americans, not just something that you sit and watch. So I think I know where you're going with this.
I'm going. Well, first we had an African lunch up on DeKalb Avenue. What was the name of that place?
At Madiba Restaurant.
Okay, Madiba. Actually, very interesting. When you open up their menu, is our good friend Marion Williamson. Quote that I guess Nelson Mandela had to say. Where I'm going with this is I'd like for you to, what do we call it? I'd like to see you do some Zulu. Is it Zulu dance?
You want to see me do a Zulu dance?
I want to see you do a Zulu dance because not normally do I see a Zulu dance on an everyday basis, and to have Alan come down to our studio is a nice, good thing. So yes, if you could take the little mic off.
I just want to context.
Please put it into some
with White Chocolate Boy, which is my graphic novel, and has all these pictures about this great story. We promote it by having a Zulu dancer, a real Zulu dancer, not me, a real Zulu dancer, go out and dance and get people like me to try to do what he does.
Okay.
So that's what you want to see. You want to see me try to do what my real Zulu dancer does.
Well,
for your amusement and what have you. And the only reason I'm going to do it is because I want to prove to you that if I was smoking, it would be completely impossible. But since I'm not smoking, it is quite possible.
All right, Alan. Okay. All right.
But there's no music here.
Grab this. No, maybe we'll put music under here. We don't have it out here right now, but.
By the way, my book comes with music. So under normal circumstances,
this book, the Zulu, the Shaka book,
White Shaka Boy, comes with the most amazing music from South Africa. It's Zulu hip hop.
Okay.
You normally
one.
Require that.
No.
To do the
Two.
Zulu dancing, but because
one.
Here, I'm going to make up the music.
Two.
In my head, like this.
Three.
How's that?
Look at this guy. Like a 12-year-old. Okay. Yeah, unbelievable. Thank you.
Then you quit smoking my way.
All right, thanks, Alan. Thank you very much.
Run, 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 run to get online. Listen to good news all the time. If you're looking for news that makes you feel so fine, tune into good news when you get online. Life-affirming, thought-provoking stories and more. News that makes you smile before you walk out the door. If you're looking for news to enrich your mind, tune into good news when you get online. Run, 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 run to get online. Listen to good news all the time. Run, 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 run to get online. Goodnewsbroadcast.com.
Okay, we're back. So, well, I hope you liked that public service announcement, okay, that we were sharing with you. Okay, now, after that, I'm still recovering from Alan's dance, and I didn't realize he can actually get up that high, and I don't think I'm going to mess with Alan anymore, actually, because he seems pretty, it almost seemed like a karate move. But we're here with Uncle Jimmy Wall. Hi, Uncle Jimmy, how are you?
I'm well, thank you, and I don't dance, no matter what you say, I'm not dancing, it's out.
That's a pretty serious dance to...
Very serious.
Yeah, I can't go there either. No. So we're going to pass on that idea.
I would get my foot up that high, I wouldn't get off the ground for a month. He's serious.
He's got to work out a little bit as well.
Yeah, he does. Does look like it does really look like something out of martial arts, because I used to train at one time.
Oh, you did? Yeah, that's what I sensed also. I saw a martial arts kind of a move.
Yeah, foot up that high, you have to work at it.
Yeah, it's pretty tall he got there. All right, all right. So
but I don't smoke either, by the way.
Then that's a good thing as well. I don't know as well. I did, I guess, in college, and then I somehow stopped for whatever the reason was. I was able to. I guess I didn't Well, I didn't start until college, so maybe I missed that 17-year-old age limit and thinking it was cool or whatever.
I started working when I was 16, so I had no time for the things that usually happen in high school or college, for that matter.
You started working at 16?
Yeah. Yes, I did.
And what were you doing then?
Well, I was very poor. We were born with next to nothing, and I guess I was kind of confined or hamstrung because I wasn't allowed to steal, but I was allowed to work.
Okay.
So the solution was simple. Get out there and work your butt off. And I was determined not to stay poor, but I also was not allowed to steal, so there's a little conflict there. But over a period of time, I learned to invest, which was kind of nice. Small things, nothing big, and work. I work hard and never let anybody tell you that you can't get to where you want to be because you weren't born that way or some other foolish reason. You just stay at it, and that's exactly what I did under very, very severe criticism because I was always a good student. I got good grades, but I hated school.
Okay.
So there's a little conflict there. But I was kind of my family's big hope. I would go to college and do all these wonderful things because, hey, after all, I was a bright guy, except I hated college. So I dropped out, which did not go over with my family at all. I was known as my son, the failure. But that changed. I took all the hard knocks that life has to offer and somehow made every mistake there was.
That's your folks calling and
Ken,
saying...
Ken probably one of them right now, saying you're still a failure. But,
I don't think so. This guy's done very well.
But you define yourself, which is what I recommend to everybody. Define yourself. Don't let your parents dictate your life. Don't let anything dictate your life. Use your own mind. Figure out what you're good at and be honest. I can do that. I know a lot of people think they can dance, but they can't. And you better not make a career out of it. Some people think they play baseball well, and they do, but they're not going to be professional baseball players. So you have to find out what it is that you do well. Go there. Work at it. Make it your passion. And I think that gives you the best chance of succeeding in this very difficult society we live in. And that's what I try to do for people. I adopted, in effect, a lot of young people that work with me, work around me, and some are, indeed are my family members. And I learned to refer to all of them as nieces and nephews because that's what I am to them. I'm not here for a profit motive. Some people live their life seeking money. Okay, you have to have some of it, but if it becomes your life, you become its slave. You don't want to do that. You always want to be in control of yourself. Define what you need that makes you happy. For me, yes, do I like money? Sure, give me $10 million and we'll have a lot of fun. But contentment with what you have and what you've been able to accomplish is much more important to me. And this is what I try to get across to the people that I work with, the people that work for me, and my friends around me. We all draw on each other's experience base, so we're stronger. We put together little teams, actually. And what I've done successfully is taught young businessmen, indeed my nieces and nephews, the ones that are in real life, my nieces and nephews, basics about business, about communication, how to conduct yourself, how to educate yourself, and how to be a successful person. And that's what I try to do. I usually sign off my programs with the simple phrase, think and be formidable. And that's what it's all about for me. That's my passion, as you asked me before.
Okay, getting to your passion in the sense of my programs, since you've brought that up. So Jimmy's a radio personality, and you've been on the air. You were on the air for a long period of time.
Yes.
And what was the basic nature of the program?
Well, it's interesting. There's a little story to it, and I'll make it very, very brief. When I first got on the air, I thought I would give information about things that I have in my background, finance, music, and other things. But what I found out was that people would call up because I was easy to talk to. And I said, well, that works. It's great. If I'm easy to talk to, people will talk to me, and I'll have a radio show. The show did very well, and I have no complaints about it. But we never got a large enough audience for me to test the theories that I have about communicating to young people what it takes to make your life successful, what you'd like to be, what you'd like to accomplish. And I think the difference between what I do and what other people do, I don't come at you from a moral point of view. It's entirely practical. You don't have to be of a religious conviction. You don't have to be anything. All you have to do is be willing to say, that makes sense. And so I'm going to adopt it into my thinking and go forward with that. And for the people that do it, even if they just pick up on one or two of the little things that I try to get across to people, they find themselves empowered. And that's what makes it possible for you to move forward in your own life, because you define yourself, you set a goal, and you keep working at getting there.
Okay. So I'm a 20-year-old.
Yes, sir.
And I just got out of college, or my next year. I'm starting to think about what I want to do, where I want to go.
Yeah.
I studied liberal arts.
Okay.
Okay. So I have an open mind about everything. Not sure now what I want to do. How does somebody kind of focus in on where to go next?
Well, one of the questions that you asked me was, what's your passion? That really should dictate what you want to do. If you have a goal in mind, for instance, you want to be an accountant or a lawyer or a doctor, then what you do is you start your goal achievement early. Go to school, get the credentials that you need for that particular occupation or that goal, and do something that you enjoy doing with your life. Whether you make a lot of money or not is not as important. But when the young people today go to college, and they come out with a degree that means absolutely nothing, I have a major problem with that. For instance, it sounds a little funny, but I used to do my own interview when people came to me and looking for a job. I would do my own interview because they all came with proper credentials. They would have a college degree and certain other things that they needed. So I would give them a very difficult question to answer right off the bat. I would say to them, do you show up? And if the answer was, huh? They were in trouble. What do you mean? I said, well, there's a desk there. We start our hours here at such and such a time. Am I going to see your pretty face sitting there every day? I guess so. Not a good answer. It doesn't make any difference what your credentials are. If you can't answer those basic questions, and another one I would ask them, can you build anything? Can you fix anything? Can you speak on the telephone? Can you sell anything? And if the answers to all of those things, 0, no, can't do it, then what would you like to do for me? Tough question for a guy that's coming out of school. He thinks he's got a degree that's going to automatically set him up in business for life, and it doesn't. A lot of people would say to me, you have to give me a chance. My answer to that is, I don't have to give you anything. You have to show me what you can do to help me in my business, and then I will train you. If you can't do that, it's been fun. Thank you. I'll give you a call, but don't count on it.
Okay, so it's the kind of straight talk.
Oh,
and,
that's it. No nonsense.
Direct, no nonsense. And more than likely, his or her next interview, they very well might be answering questions differently because they probably are taken back to a certain degree from that kind of a non-human resources approach, I will say. This is more nitty-gritty, more, it seems to me, very entrepreneurial in the way that you are sort of really getting down deep into what they need to do.
Well, what you have to do is, whether you're doing it internally or working with other people, you have to find out what's in their heart, what's in their mind, what do they want to do. I don't mean to be tough with people. As a matter of fact, I talk all the time about the difference between substance and style. Sometimes it pays to be very direct. If I'm going to be interviewing somebody for something that they want to do in association with whatever it is I'm doing at the time, I don't really want to waste a lot of time if I can size up the person and say this individual is not right for me. On the other hand, when I do get young people that want to work, I will give them all the time they need to teach them whatever I can. And that works well, because what happens then is there's a bond. I have several people that work with me. When I do my radio show, for instance, I work on the air with 4 people, and I have another 4 or so, maybe more, in back of me doing various technical things and standing by in case something goes wrong. But what I've managed to do is to create a bond with every one of those people. These are good people. These are people that are trustworthy. They're always there for me. They never let me down. I never let them down. It's not about money. It's about this team effort that we make, and it works very well. I can call on any one of a number of people at any hour of the day or night, and my friend Ron is sitting out there. He knows me for a number of years, and he will attest to the fact that we work together. We don't serve only our own ends. And especially for me, I've got to a point in my life where money doesn't do it for me. I'll be very frank with you. I'm not rich. I live very well, but I have not 1 ounce of desire to go out and make millions and millions of dollars. What I really want to do is empower people that don't get the opportunities they should, because I had nothing. Everything I acquired, I had to work for. I had to make all of the mistakes. So I want those people to have a little bit of a shortcut. You can't get it out of college. You can't get it out of a book necessarily. But if you have somebody that you're working with, somebody that loves you like an uncle or as an uncle, there's a communication thing that develops there. If people like you, they're willing to learn from you. That's one of the things I've learned about teaching. I have to get the student, the niece, the nephew, whomever it might be, to like me. If they like me and they know I'm on their side, they'll give me that cooperation and they will grow. And then I develop a track record and I say, okay, this is what you did that I advised you to do. How did it work out? And if they're happy with it, then they're on their way.
You personally, professionally,
yes,
were working in the financial world, would you say?
When I first started working, I started out being a musician at the tender age of 16. Somebody actually said, hey, would you like to work a job and make $35? $35 is a lot of money when I was a kid. And I said, yeah, I'd like to do that. So I did that for quite a while. I started working weekends in dumb nightclubs and doing whatever I could do. But I also knew that music was not a good thing. It didn't lead to success, and I tried to be successful. I wrote music and played and sang and all that stuff. What I learned to do at the same time was to invest money and start little small businesses. So I think I tried everything. I used to sell jewelry, bought and sold some properties, houses, and I learned how the market worked. The market is a very simple mechanism. Buy it and sell it for more than you paid for it. That's all you had to do. It's a simple formula.
Buy low, sell high.
Buy low and sell high. Later on in life, I became a securities broker-dealer and sat for all those tests and set up a company where we did what they do in that business. You teach people how to do their finances, how to make money, and I didn't like it because it's a very crooked business, a very difficult business. We see it right now. Why is it that all these geniuses that know how to make money and know how to, the best thing for you to do with their money, need I name the companies that have gone belly up? I don't think so. We're looking today at the geniuses that were going to teach you how to do things in a state of complete collapse, free fall. Now we're going to hire the same geniuses to correct the problem. I don't think so.
We need new geniuses?
We need new geniuses, yes we do. We need some people that are hardworking, actually directed at the market. I don't want to name names. One of the things I do on my show is I avoid politics, political parties, political players, but we deal with any kind of a problem. The people that ran this plane into the side of a mountain are now going to tell us how to fix it. You want to believe that? Be my guest. But I think it's time for a new pilot. They have to have somebody out there. What they really should do on Wall Street, there's a lot of crooked money being made on Wall Street. This is no secret. These people will be indicted, they have been indicted, and they will continue to be indicted, and they will be convicted. But they know how to play the game. The people that are supervising the game should be learned. Remember the old show, Takes a Thief? That's where they should go. Get the insiders of the market that know how the game is played, and let them supervise the sale and communication in the business, the financial business. The people that are overseeing this simply don't know what they're doing. They don't know the day-to-day little gimmicks that are played all the time to fleece people of their money.
Well, it is by far, you know, we're here September 25th, 6th, whatever we are today, 2008, and it's a concerning situation financially here in America. And the words that you're saying are, you know, how did we get into this? And, you know, how, you know, there's so many people involved in it. Mm-hmm. And, you know, it just is sort of a snowball. You know, in the old days, you know, you really had to work pretty hard to hold on to your house, and you know, this word foreclosure really has gotten to be quite, you know, it seems like a lot of people were buying, selling, then the rates went up. Whatever these difficulties occurred, you sort of have to like kind of be prepared for it in business. I mean, in life, to take on that kind of a challenge.
Yeah. One of the problems with our culture is, and I'll paraphrase this so that I don't think I'm playing any political favorites. There are theories that say we should leave no child behind. It sounds great. But there's also a theory out there that we should leave no homeowner wannabe behind, and that sounds great too. These are wonderful ideals, but they don't work. The problem is, be sensible, Paul. I can't give a man a $400,000 mortgage that's only making $35,000 a year. I can't do that, and this is exactly what they did. No income verification, little or no down payment, and you can move in a house that you can't really afford. So what we're doing is we're selling people the idea that credit, borrowing, is somehow going to empower us, going to make us better people, live in bigger houses. And what's happened because of this theory is everything is collapsing. I don't think we're being made as aware as we should be to how serious this problem is, although we may be aware soon. But we are not going to solve this problem because of a simple principle. You cannot borrow your way out of debt. You cannot, and that's what they're going to try to do. There's also another little situation that really gets under my skin here. The little guy is going to be called upon to bail the big guy out. The big guy, meanwhile, is supposed to be the guy that's supposed to be telling the little guy how to make money in the market. Well, if he can't do it, and I have to bail him out, by what process of logic am I going to go back to that same guy and say, will you help me with my finances, sir, because I'm green? I don't think that's going to work. And I don't think this bailout is going to be successful. Maybe in the short run. Will it calm the waters? Maybe, for a little while. But fundamentally, we keep borrowing money. Everybody owes money on their house, owes money on their car, credit cards, you name it. It's almost a confidence game. If you believe there's money out there, great. What would happen if everybody decided to take down some of their 401k money or IRA money? It's not there. The banks don't have any money. It got so bad the banks wouldn't lend each other money for a while. So if you really believe that your future is vested in some kind of a 401k plan or an IRA, I'm here to tell you, you better think twice about it.
Okay, well, I understand that, and I understand how concerning it is, and especially for people that might be at that tender age of 62 and a half, is it, or 59 and a half?
59 and a half before you get
59 and a half before you can take it out without, you know, penalties.
Yes.
Significant penalties.
Yeah.
So a lot of those people are very nervous right now in their lives, and
they should be.
And so we're trying to think of the good news here. But sometimes, I guess, even with good news, there's some bad news connected to it.
Always.
And I guess now the good news is the realization, obviously, much later than should have been.
Correct.
1, 2, there should have been some more restrictions, obviously, on the situation. We're going to have another guest here, Maritza, who's working down in the Wall Street
I speak
area.
with her before. She's
okay.
Lovely.
All righty, good.
In fact, she and I are going to do a show together.
Yes.
We've already.
All righty. I think it's a great idea.
It is.
And so, you know, we'll talk a little bit further on it. And I don't claim to be any. I know I've had a tough time getting a mortgage in my life. Yes. I got one. I needed to refinance because of a divorce situation. I had a very hard time getting that mortgage, and I took an adjustable mortgage. And I'm like that in my mind is like one part of my life. I said, I want to know what I have to pay each month, and that's it. I don't want to like it to look $5 difference because I'm going to go back to the bank every time it looks $5 difference and say, are you sure this is right? So I'm going to spend half of my time dealing with it. So I want to know exactly what I was going to spend each month.
Yes.
And that adjustable thing is not
No.
who I am. And so I went back, I refinanced again to get a fixed mortgage, okay? So I'm living under a fixed mortgage. I'm very happy because that's one part I don't have to think about in my life and worry about. I think is the big kind of a thing. Now I'm not saying that's just what I had to do in the way I see it, but a lot of people have gotten hung up here. There's no doubt about it, and I almost feel that they weren't, and I think going back to you, weren't treated or helped, to not put themselves into that kind of a situation.
Well, there's a lot of personal responsibility that we have to take too. It's very nice that you can go to a broker or a mortgage company or something like that and say, can I get a $500,000 house and I don't make any money? And they say, oh, sure. It's a little adjustable 4 or 5 years from now. We'll even make it so that we're lending you a little money every month to help you along, negative equity type of thing. And people that don't understand what they're in for accept these things. And then going down the line a few years, they find out, whoa, the interest rate went up and I can't afford it. Now we've got this awful economic situation, people losing their jobs. Well, you have a certain responsibility to yourself. When you were a younger man, and I was younger, we had to put 20% down to buy a house. But then the house had value because you had 20% equity the minute you bought it. And of course, the houses went up and we enjoyed the appreciation. But nowadays, because you were buying it with no money, the prices of houses got crazy. It went
That's the
right
big
off
thing,
the board.
I think. That is the
And until
that's the
this
zonker.
corrects.
I mean, the houses went up like in the last 7 years or so. I mean, you had a $200,000 investment that ended up at a $600,000. I gave my mother's house away for $232,000. I remember in Tarrytown, and now in the books it's over $1 million.
There you go.
I said, it was a bad time. And I said, it's the same old house. It's not like anything different. How could it have gone up so much?
Well, that's a great question because it really didn't go up that much. What they simply did was they made it easier to buy everything. They just gave you money. They gave you credit cards. Did you have a credit card when you were a kid?
When I was a kid, no.
Huh. So you had to have money to spend it.
The
Nowadays,
best way to live is just with the green.
they'll give it
If you
13.
can live with the green, you'll never have problems. You just spend what you got, and only because that's all you got.
Godfather, you know everything. I mean, this is so basic. It doesn't take a genius. And the kids today, they give them these training cards. They come with a training bra or something. But they give them a credit card when they're 13.
Yeah.
And I said, wow, does that make sense? In a way it does, because this is what their generation of people is going to be about. So yes, you should teach a kid, even if it's going to be using credit, do it responsibly. But if you use credit cards, and I know people, my nieces, God, I love them to death, they make almost no money a year. They own a car they cannot afford. They've got credit cards up to here because they've got iPhones and this and every other gadget in the world. They can't afford any of this stuff, but they didn't have to put 20% down. They just had to pull out the plastic, give it to some fool, and he says, okay, here you have a $600 telephone. Strange stuff. You can't do that to kids.
You have a
Teach them to
website.
work.
You have a website. What's it?
Everybody's Uncle.
Everybody'suncle.com.
That's it.
Okay. Well, Jimmy, thank you very much for coming here and sharing some good thoughts with our audience. So, give me one last. Give me an Uncle Jimmyism.
An uncleism, as I like to call
Uncleism.
it.
That's it. Okay.
All right, an uncleism. Oh, there are so many of them. They should
Okay.
be put. They're so brilliant. They should be put in fortune cookies. You know?
All right. Go ahead.
But,
that sounds cool.
Let's see. One of the things I tell people all the time is, when you're making a decision about anything, divide yourself into two people. We usually like to think of ourselves as having one opinion. Fine. But nobody will argue that we are emotional creatures, and we like to think we're logical. So what I tell people to do is consider whatever it is that's on the table. I'd like to fly a plane. Well, that's a want. That's a wonderful ambition. But I'm afraid of height. that works the other way. Logically, planes will stay up. Well, there's the logic of it. So now, what will rule my life? My emotions, I want to do things, or my logic? Maybe I should stick to driving a car. That's where you go. Do I give them answers? No. What I try to do is put thoughts in people's mind, give them tools to work with. Uncleisms, by the way, you nailed it exactly right, is what I call them. Once you get the idea that you are really two people, you can say emotionally, I like that. Logically, it doesn't work. Do you have a daughter by any chance, or a teenager? Yeah. Ah, there you go. When she was 14, she was in love with some guy that wasn't worth even looking at, but she loved him. Say, that's all emotion. I approach my nieces with things like this when they were a little older. Does he have a job? Does he love his mother? Does he live at home? Does he have an education? Does he have any vision? Or does he just look at you with lust? Something to think about.
Calls it the way he sees it. Okay, Uncle Jimmy, thank you very much.
Well, what
Thanks.
a pleasure.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Okay.
you.
I listen to good news and I feel fine. Every chance I have, I get online for stories that inspire me and show me how great life can be. GoodNewsBroadcast.com. People say that life can bring you down. They don't know the secret that I found. Oh, when I'm feeling sad and blue, I get online to hear good news. GoodNewsBroadcast.com.
Okay, we're back. Super duper duper and the super. I just want to remind people that, you know, we're out there in the Montauk Sun newspaper, and a column out there. And if you have anything you want to share with us that we can share out there in Montauk, New York, the end or the beginning of Long Island. And we've been involved with a lot of good things. I know you all know about our Water Hour show. This was an event, the Hong Kong Dragon Boat Festival 18th anniversary, and that was super. And we had a team in the race, and that went very well. And just a reminder that that green is in. It seems to be green. Green money is in, I guess, but green and in the environment. So we get a lot of the business of green. So as much as you can and we can help to give consideration to our environment, in essence, drive less, think more locally, reduce, reuse, recycle, as we always end up a lot of our Water Hour shows, and you can go see the Water Hour. I might remind you that we had built out here in Brooklyn our maybe America's first green television studio. It's all recycled pieces that we've had for a long time. The owner, Alatara, of the building has picked up off the streets of New York curtains and screens and walls and pianos. And then I'm a crazy collector also, keeping things in the family. My grandmother's bedroom sets over there and other kinds of things that I have found. So maybe next time look at what you have and make a decision on whether maybe you can maintain that and or give it away to somebody who can actually use it and won't go into some stockpile. Okay, so now we're going to talk a little bit more about finance. We're also going to be talking about the Latin market with Maritza.
Hi.
Beltre. Hi, how are you?
Good. Thank you for having me on the show.
Well, thank you for being here. I don't know if I'll ask you to salsa in the end here, but I keep up with Alan. But we're very happy to have you here. You know, it's you have, from reading through your background, been a person who has worked very hard to get to where you are.
Yes.
As a chief financial officer of a company, a financial company, and
Right.
in Wall Street. And was that something like when you were younger? Where were you born? Were you born in America? Or?
No, I was born in Dominican Republic, on the countryside of Dominican Republic. And I think that growing up in that type of environment has molded me into who I am today. I appreciate life. I appreciate the value of hard work, something that I was taught since small. And being who I am today, I would definitely have to attribute to my background, where I was born. Being in the financial industry is a very tough environment, And so I consider, based on my background, that really has helped me to achieve my goal in this industry. So I'm very proud of being Hispanic and being who I am today.
Okay. Now, to break into, in the days of old, women in Wall Street, almost there was not an equal sign or even getting into that old boy kind of a lifestyle, right?
Correct.
How has that changed? For the better?
Well, it has changed for the better. There's a lot of more executive roles that are female. Myself, I think I'm probably one of the first Dominican women to obtain the position that I have today. And I hope to see more of that going forward. But now it seems to be a more kind of not equally yet, but we are getting there. I see a lot of women playing that role.
A lot of times they mention in a family, in a household, to let the women run the home and run the finances, and to manage a lot of the business aspects of running a house. So you would think that with that in mind, if that is so, every house is different, then a woman would be very effective in the world of business.
Absolutely. I think that we have the best of both worlds. One is if you have someone that learned the business world along with the emotional aspect that us women have by nature, it's a great combination. You need both. You need both to survive in a very tough environment. You need to have the psychological and spiritual background to actually be able to succeed, along with having the financial backing as well. In my household, actually, myself and my husband, we both come from a business background. We both graduated from business. So it's a privilege to have that background and be able to manage our business.
Well, in addition to your own CFO work, you, I think, run with your husband a restaurant here
Correct.
in New York, in Brooklyn?
Correct. In the Brooklyn Heights area, we have a restaurant called Mucho Gusto Spanish Cuisine, which I am very proud of. We built the restaurant from scratch about a year ago. And so far, it's been word of mouth how we've been managing to increase sales. And what people tend to say when they go to the restaurant is that they feel at home. That's my goal. I think that, service, you should always give the best service wherever you are, and then some. I believe in that. And you actually see the results if you hang in there. And we are seeing that as we speak.
Well, that's great. Congratulations. And it's down, we're Brooklyn Heights, what's the street?
It's 115 Columbia, corner of Kane. So it's right down by the water, which is a great location. And
they're putting a park. Are they putting a park down that way?
They're putting a park. There's lots of great expectation about that area. They're actually building a huge marina nearby. There's a couple of construction going on now, and IKEA is about 10 minutes away from the restaurant. So the expectation of that area is booming. And we're going to see a fruitful future if we hang in there.
Do we have some good news to report on Wall Street?
We have good news. Bernanke mentioned yesterday that the credit is the oh, I'm sorry.
No, it's no. But Bernanke is what? He's the
he's the chairman, and
right.
And he mentioned yesterday regarding the credit is the lifeblood of the economy, and the mess that we're in now, we've seen it a couple of years ago, and we made it, and I believe we are going to make it again. In simple terms, what happened was that individuals borrow more than what they can afford. The government made it easy for us to borrow money, and Wall Street took advantage of it. That, to me, that is the most simplest way to define what happened. But the good news is that the plan that Henry Paulson and Bernanke have is to infuse back to the economy about $700 billion. And I think it's a good idea, because if we don't do that now, it would really be a huge mess we would be. It would be a disadvantage to everyone. We would no longer be able to borrow money. We couldn't even buy a car or get a mortgage. So their solution, hopefully it will be the starting point of the economy getting back on track, which that's what we all need.
Borrowing money, I don't know. I've probably not as successful as I would like to be, because I never did borrow money. I was always afraid to borrow money, and it seems to me, the little I know about this, a lot of companies, big corporations, they borrow lots of money,
Yeah.
right? I mean, what I can't understand is, don't they make money? Why do they need to keep borrowing money? I mean, like General Motors. Why do they have to keep borrowing money? Aren't they selling cars? Don't they make money? I don't understand why people keep borrowing money. I don't understand it.
Well, the logic is, the more you have, the more you want. And I was afraid myself a couple of years ago to borrow money. But I borrowed money to obtain my first home, and it was a phenomenal deal. Right now, it's worth 4 times what I bought before. And you want to borrow money to make more money. So the logic behind it is, I always talk in simple terms, it's just that simple.
Right, and everybody makes money in the process of you borrowing money, because there's money that people lend you. They make money for
Correct.
lending you the money. They put interest rates on the money that they lent to you,
Correct.
right? So a lot of people, even I would say venture capital or hedge fund, money that people put into companies, they're also making money too, right?
I mean, this economy right now is very difficult to make money, and we're seeing a big difference on us, hedge funds making money. What we do is we have wealthy individuals who wants to invest in the market. We trade bases and precious metal, and so they give us X amount of money to trade their capital, and hopefully at the end of the year, what we hope to is to at least make 15 to 20% of their money. And so they're making money and we're making money.
And they're making that kind of percentage after they make payment to your organization or any administrative that they have themselves.
Right. I mean, they make.
I mean, does that 15% get eaten up, by their own expenses?
No, that should be their profit. I mean, they have their own ways to generate how to finance their costs. And if they get 15%, for example, from our company, and they invest money somewhere else, then that's how they generate, that cash flow. But most of these people have investment, in different baskets.
How would you now, with these concerns, and we were talking to Uncle Jimmy too about financial
Right, yeah.
things, and I know you guys hit it off because you have some similarities here.
Correct.
With what's going on right now, and with the unfortunate situations, meaning that I guess there's that foreclosure, there's the housing concern. Actually, I don't even know what kind of numbers are out there, like how many houses foreclosed or so on and so forth. I wonder how massive is it that the people are losing their homes, and I wonder also, out of those people that are losing their homes, were most of those people living in their homes, or were they in those homes for investment purposes? Is that now a business, and that's where it got confusing? I don't know. Do you know?
Well, I'll try to answer that question. And a lot of people are losing their investment. Some people bought homes and they bought other homes. Other people are losing their personal home. And again, it goes back to what Jimmy mentioned regarding, I think we all basically, we're all to blame. Because if I go to purchase a home for $500,000, and yet, as Jim mentioned, I only make $30,000, I should not be buying that home. So right now, those people that bought the homes that could not afford it are having a lot of financial problems.
But where I get confused is this, is that they got a $500,000 home, they put down either nothing or they put down $10,000, right? So it seems to me like they're losing maybe $10,000. If they lose their home, they're only losing $10,000, and they lived in that home, say, for 2 years, rent-free or just for taxes.
Right.
Sound like a pretty good deal.
Well, they're not just losing $10,000, they're losing more than that, because, you know, from the time that they bought it, I'm pretty sure they probably put back to certain things in the house. And also they're losing credit, which is money.
But they deserve to lose credit because they weren't credit worthy.
That's true. But, you know, that is the problem that we're facing now. That is the problem that many of us are facing in terms of losing your home. And not only are you losing your home, but you're losing a part of your investment, which a lot of us, especially when we buy for an investment purpose, we want to make money. We want to be able to buy a dollar and sell at $2. And that's what but I think it's a matter of time. Within probably, hopefully, 2 or 3 years, we should be back to true normal. And those that were able to hold on their investment can probably, you know, make some money out of it. But right now is not the best time to sell.
Yeah, imagine that. Well, it's a complicated issue, it seems, and I probably don't know all the ramifications of it. It just seems that, you know, I don't know how this bailout's all going to work out and how people get their money back. But, you know, it almost sounds, I have to say, and I'm good news, right? Positive news. It sounds almost like very, very questionable. For somebody to, you know, get an asset, like rent-free almost,
Right,
and then possibly even now, what was this? Are people going to get paid because they, you know, it just seems like not the American way.
It's
You know, and even I'm a one-world person.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem a hard work. You worked to get a house, and you gave your sweat and money into it. But if you couldn't afford it, then that's unfortunate. You know, it's life has those risks, right?
Correct. But I think, you know, this time around, a lot of us learned. I think in every bad experience, you know, there's something there to be learned. And a lot of us that got into these debt that we couldn't afford, I'm pretty sure we're going to be more cautious in spending. If we cannot afford to buy that car, we shouldn't buy that car. So there's lesson to be learned.
Okay, and all right, good. Well, that's optimistic and positive, and it's okay to help everybody because you know, and these things are confusing and very possibly, you know, we hear so many things in this regard that maybe people weren't educated properly about it. It sounds to me like a lot of fine print wasn't understood.
Right, but because of that, there are going to be strict guidelines now, the way that it should be. So we're going to see more of that in terms of, you know, borrowing money. I think one of the solutions that I think, and I'm not a, you know, credit expert, but I think that the bank should be more in terms of if I went to them and to borrow on a home, they should take a bigger stake and also make sure that the lender is creditworthy. Otherwise, what was happening was that I would get a mortgage from any of these financial institutions. They were happy to close on that deal and then sell that off to Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac. And that's how we saw the beginning of that started piling up and the big bubble burst.
So the Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac were the backers for the loan.
Right.
But in essence, what we've learned now, I don't know how somebody didn't see this within this period, how it kept on growing and growing, to somehow put a halt.
Yes.
And maybe this is the halt now.
Right. I think so too. But the good news is we will come out of this.
Oh, I think so too. I mean, especially economically.
Right, yeah. I mean, we've seen this before. It happened, you know, usually every 30 to 50 years, and we get back on track. And we learn from that. And this is another one of those experiences that we all, not only the consumers, but also, you know, the big guys making those decisions.
Well, you know, I love where I live.
I do too.
So that's my dream also, is that however this gets worked out, that whoever needs to learn lessons and grow from this
Right, yes.
into forward motion and the Buddhist way for forgiveness of whatever happened, it's all good. Let's talk about your concern and your interest into the Hispanic/Latin market, and about a desire to share your thinking and your success story. And I know you speak at panels and all around New York and maybe outside of the city, but how do you feel, I mean, some of the good things that you might be able to share with the community?
Similar to Uncle Jim, I was born in, you know, as I mentioned before, in a very poor but humble environment in Dominican Republic. I learned the value of physical hard work. And when I came here to the city, it was a huge transition between growing up in that simple life and being here in the city where we had TV, fully furnished apartment, where in Dominican Republic we were limited. And I wanted to make a difference. I was fortunate to come from Dominican Republic here, which a lot of Dominicans or Hispanic are still back in the country, and they would love to have that opportunity to come to the United States. So I took fully advantage of this opportunity and said, as I was going to school, I wanted to become a role model. I wanted to help people that were similar to my background and wanted a better future for themselves. My dad, my parents always owned a grocery store. So I grew up, on that side of the world, seeing my father struggle from 7 a.m. that he opened the grocery store up to midnight. And I said to myself, I want to be a businesswoman, but I want to work more with my mind than I do physically. And I believe that you are what you think about. Your thought becomes reality. And to me, the sky's the limit. I always strive to work harder, to improve myself. I feel that I represent my country and I want to make my country proud. And I want to be a huge advocate to those that are struggling or do not have the support to succeed, to tell them you can succeed, because I did. I could have chosen the route and said, you know what, why work in the financial industry? I'm a woman, I'm minority, and by all means, I'm not tall, and I cannot even pass by not being a minority. But that was a challenge, and I knew that if you work hard enough and your values are intact to what you want to do in life, you will succeed. And I feel like I've attained the American dream. So if I did it, coming from my background, I feel that I can inspire and motivate others to do the same.
So what would you suggest to, I guess, a young person, okay? Say a high school person. I guess the first thing is, what, stay in school, at least through high school?
Absolutely. I'm a huge advocate in education. I think education, it is the key, one of the key things to life, not only to obtain a career, but also to be able to survive. So I would tell a young student in high school is that, at that age, although you're young and you want to have fun, you can do both. Have a little fun, but focus. Stay in school. Don't just think short term. Think long term. If I drop out of high school, what can I do with my life? How far can I get? Where am I going to live? Am I still going to live in the bad neighborhood that I'm from? And most likely you will. What do you want to do in life? Those are the questions that although, you know, in high school, some of them, some students are not mature enough to understand, but I think these are the questions they should be asking themselves. What do I want to do with my life? Where do I want to be? Or find a role model. Find an Uncle Jim or an Aunt Maritza to inspire you, to push you to the next level.
Okay, so now they did finish high school. Okay. Go to college?
Definitely go to college. High school is not enough to get a job or to make a difference in your life. You need to go to college, and even furthermore, you know, get your master's if you can. But, you know, go to college. To me, college was huge. Prior to college, I always knew I was going to do something in business, but I didn't define myself in high school. It was more in college where it was up to me. It wasn't up to the teacher. As high school were there on top of you. College was more, if you come in, you study, you pass the test, you pass the class. If you don't, you failed, and there's no one there telling you, you know, you were absent today, or call your parents. So definitely go to college, and you know, there's so many tools, especially over the web, that if you're not sure of a career, search it, look into it, see what your passion is. Sometimes it's as simple as realizing, what do I like to do? One thing that I tell some of my cousins in my family, that they always come to me and say, you know, what should I do? I said, if you had $1 million, if you had, not $1 million, probably $1 million is not enough anymore, but if you had all the money in the world, what would you do? And the answer should be whatever it is. If it is, oh, I would be a teacher, then that's what you should do.
Romance? What happens with romance in someone's life at college age?
Well, romance, even now in high school, I think, you know, kids are advanced in that subject. And, you know, you can do, I mean, I met my husband in college, and it's my sophomore in college, and it was great, but you should not let anything dominate but focusing on finishing school. I could have chosen to say, I found the man of my life. He's a business major, and it seemed like we're going to have a great future together, and not continue. But, you know, every individual should strive to do their own and so forth. So a little bit of everything, it's okay.
So what's good news for Aunt Maritza?
What's good news with Aunt Maritza? I would love people to understand, no matter what's going on in their life, even this whole thing that, you know, really the media, I think, scared a lot of us, especially if you don't know a lot what's going on in the economy. You're scared, you're paranoid. You know, take everything in life and just take it for what it is. Don't dwell so much on the bad side and negativity, because you're not going to get anywhere by doing that. I think that focus on what you want, focus on what you want to accomplish, instead of dwelling on failing or what's going on temporarily. I think that's how I live. I don't try to worry about things that I cannot control, because it doesn't do any good.
And you have a blog as well, don't you?
I do. I have a blog which will announce.
Right.
You'll have a, yeah. I'm sorry that I don't remember the blog right now. I just did the blog about a month ago.
Okay.
And,
we'll put the link on there for everyone.
Okay. So the reason I did the blog was because, you know, I felt that I want to get my word out there, and the fastest way to do this was to create a blog and to talk about the issues that I would love to one day be able to host on either a talk show or radio show.
Okay.
So start now, and we'll see where it gets me.
All right, great. Well, we'd love for you to do it on Good News, and because
Thank
you
you.
are a positive thinker, and it's a pleasure to have you here, and
Thank
you
you,
know,
my
congratulations on your continued success, and speaking at all these events and a lot of good things, and have I sense a real practical knowledge in the world of business. So it's all good. So I have to get down to your restaurant.
Okay, great.
Thanks.
Thank you.
All right. Well, that's today's show. So I would say today's show goes under the art of positive thinking, which is the, I guess, the backbone of what Good News Broadcast is all about. And thinking you are what you think. And it's also nice, as everybody is saying, it's good to think it's good to think nice thoughts, I think, is where I'm sensing from everybody. And to feel good about yourself, especially if you're, have worked hard to get to where you are. And usually we end the show, I usually say, be nice to somebody this week. And I do say, I've added this on as I got older in age, is that, and that someone could be you. And so that's sort of sometimes a change for people. But, if you have good feelings, as they say, about yourself, then probably you'll be able to be more helpful for everybody around you. So thank you very much. If you do have some good news you want to share with us, goodnews@goodnewsbroadcast.com. And thank you very much for tuning in, and we look forward to seeing you again. Thanks.